Hey, it's Vanessa, the Crafty Gemini, and in this video, I want to share with you some tips on installing magnetic snaps versus plastic cam snaps. So before we jump into the video, I want to give a big thanks to everybody who watched my last video where I shared some zipper tips with you and things to look out for before you select the zippers for an upcoming bag project. Now in this one, we're talking about snaps. For the same reason, a lot of the bag making projects that I like to design, make, and teach feature some type of a closure, like a zipper or some type of a snap, right? But the way that I teach, I tend to design projects that feature different elements, different skills and techniques, so that as you work your way through each individual project, you're learning the technique while you're constructing a project, okay? I don't just like to teach different skills and techniques in a vacuum. It's important for you to understand why we're installing it this way, maybe why we're installing the magnetic snap in between the layers versus the plastic snap, all that kind of stuff. So I'll be sharing those tips with you here, but I also want to give you a heads up that we are almost ready to open up my mini bag club number 3. So if maybe you're a quilter who's wanting to try your hand at some bags and pouch projects with live components, this is going to be where you want to pay attention, and definitely use the link in the description box below to add yourself to our email newsletter list. Because the way that my online club memberships work is that when we open the door, it's only open for a limited amount of time at a sale price. Once we close the virtual doors, nobody else can sign up, especially to take advantage of the live components of my clubs. Now, an online mini bag club, all that is I'm going to teach you 5 new projects that I have designed and put together with step-by-step video instructions. You get PDFs with written instructions to help you supplement the video lessons. We give you supply lists, an event calendar, and the calendar is very important for y'all to print out once you're in, because that tells you the date and time for when each new video course for those 5 projects will be posted to your student account on our website, as well as when we have scheduled live question and answer sessions. I do one live Q&A after each project, and that way you can watch the lessons, try your hand at it. If you have any questions, submit them in our form, and then I answer them with you live so that you get better understanding of maybe why you had trouble with one spot or what trouble another student had. It's a great time to kind of bring everybody together so that we all can get better and increase our knowledge of these different types of sewing projects, right? So then the other thing is we have live Zoom social hours as well. So instead of being a question and answer session, it's more like a social hour. So a lot of times students like to do kind of show and tell. They will show the projects that they've finished. They will share their fabric choices. Sometimes people will hang up different fabrics and ask for everyone's opinion, like, do you think I should use this fabric with this one, or this for the lining and this for the exterior, and things like that. So they're a lot of fun. If you think you might be interested in something like that, make sure that you hit the subscribe button right here on YouTube, and make sure that you're on my email list, because that is when we are going to send out the sign up link for those of you that are going to be ready to join very, very soon. All right, so now let's jump into the tips and things that you definitely want to keep in mind when you are choosing whether to install a plastic snap versus a magnetic snap in your bag projects. All right, so if we're talking about magnetic snaps versus plastic snaps, first let's discuss some of the tools that are required and what the snaps themselves look like. So for the magnetic snap, you're going to have the same thing for both the plastic and the magnetic snaps in terms of having one end that is the male end and one is the female end, and that's how the snap closure works. Now, on the magnetic snap side, you see that I have a couple of different washers here. Depending on who you order yours from and the manufacturer, they may or may not include some washers, and then the size of the washer can also differ depending on where you're getting it from. So the washers tend to look like this. The center portion here is so that you can mark exactly where, you got to mark a spot before you can install it to make sure that both ends of the snap will close correctly, because if they're installed off, then they won't be able to snap close and your project is not going to work the way that it was designed to, okay? Some of the washers are bigger. Then you have some that are smaller. The main difference here is that you're obviously going to have more of a surface area that's going to be protected in terms of wear and tear. The larger one is going to cover a larger area, whereas the smaller one is good for when you're installing the magnetic snaps close to the edge of a seam of a project, because if you have to go back around and top stitch, if this is large and you're installing it about 1/2 inch up or so from the edge of a seam, you don't want to run the risk of top stitching and hitting the metal washer from through the layers, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple projects that have both of these snaps installed. So if you've never installed them before, that will kind of give you an idea of the look and what each one is, okay? So that's kind of a little overview of magnetic snaps. The plastic snaps have also a male and female end, but they have two end caps. So where the snap itself, you could technically install it with just these two pieces, okay, because on the back they have prongs that get either pressed out or pressed in, and I have a little sample here to show you. This is the female end of a snap just installed on a scrap piece of fabric. On the back you can see that we added an extra layer of the foam interfacing because I want a really snug connection. If it's too loose and you're easily able to fit something under here, every time you're peeling it away to separate the snaps from each other, you're going to get a lot of wear and tear on your fabric because of the prongs and that pulling apart and snapping back together. So I like to always back it with a little something. Then you can see the washer there, and then the prongs were pressed open. Some people prefer to press it open, some people prefer to press them to the center. At the end of the day, I mean, I've done both on dozens of different bags, and it just ends up being personal preference to me. On some situations, I may want to press it in. Most of the time, though, I tend to press out because it gives me a flatter surface instead of having that build up there with both prongs going to the center, okay? So for the plastic snaps, I said the male and the female end, but then you have the end caps. And these guys help hold these in position because this is just one piece by itself. So when you're installing these plastic snaps, you need two pieces that are identical, the end caps, and then a male and a female end, okay? Some other tools that are necessary for just the plastic snaps. Whereas here, you can just cut, with a scissors or snips or a little seam ripper, insert the prongs through your layers, and then just use your hands to press it open. That's a quick and easy way to install these. For these, you're gonna need some special tools. So you'll need a stiletto or an awl, something sharp, because you gotta make a hole in the fabric layers first so that you can insert that little prong that's sticking out from the end caps when you're installing it. And then to squish this little prong that's sticking out down in between, and I'll basically show you, you'd have fabric layers in between here. Once you have this there, you have to squish down that prong in the middle, and by squishing the plastic, it holds the two pieces together, and you'd have fabric in between. So that is how one end of the snap would be held in place. When it's not squished together to hold, obviously it's like this, you can just separate the pieces. So you'll either need a big press or the hand pressing pliers for installing these plastic snaps, and an awl. So keep that in mind, all right? That's a little overview on both of these and the tools that would be necessary. Now for this, some people sometimes say that they can't press the prongs open or shut with their fingers. If you don't have, a lot of strength in your fingers or hands, you can always press it against a hard table and push against it like that to make the prongs go in the direction that you want, or sometimes you can use pliers as well. Now, the second thing I want you to consider is where the snap is going to be installed in the finished project. So here I have two of the projects that I'll be teaching in my upcoming mini bag club number 3. This is actually the second project. So this is my zip pocket notebook, and you'll see that it looks like a big folder, and the closure here is a plastic snap. Now you can't see it too good because it's black on black, but I have one end of the snap installed here and the other on the strap itself. So it snaps shut like that, and then it's ready to go, okay? When I unsnap it, you open it up, and it's a super fun zip pocket notebook, I'm calling it. There's two mesh pockets. One here, you can see I have some markers and pens, so this is great for artists, sketch artists, people that journal. If you have a large family, you need to organize your stuff. A lot of us have agendas and different kind of things that we need to mark and keep tracks of different family calendars and stuff. And then underneath each one of the mesh pockets on both sides, you have a pocket here that you can tuck in paper, a notepad, composition notebook, whatever it is. So it's a really handy project. And of course, you can make this for just about anybody. Just choose the fabrics that they would like. If you want a more masculine look, choose fabrics accordingly. You can do fun license prints for kids, college kids, all that kind of stuff. But the closure on this is a super simple to install plastic snap. Now on a project like this, when we're trying to figure out whether we want to use a magnetic snap or a plastic snap, think about where it's going to go and how much wear and tear that closure is going to get. So for example, I like to use these plastic cam snaps, and I'll include my affiliate link on where you can get a set of assorted colors like I have here. I have used these for almost 15 years now. because I cloth diapered both of my kids, and so all my cloth diapers I use these snaps as well. And I love to use them for small, quick and easy projects or things that just call for a closure to be installed at the very last step. It's very easy to do that and install the plastic snaps. Now, this one you can see that because the strap is standalone by itself, I could have completed the entire project and then at the end installed this end of the snap because it's just going through these couple layers of fabric. So that's easy. Then for this one here, you don't really want to wait until the end, right? Because yes, it will be on the outside, but remember that I said that you need to have an end cap that needs to attach to either the male or female end of the plastic snap. So if I install this one here, the end cap is right here. It's going to go through all your layers. So for the one that's installed right here, that means that if I would have installed it at the end, I would have been going through the zipper and the mesh pocket. So that would defeat the purpose of having a zipper here because I would have a snap going through all this, right? So if you deconstruct the project, you know that before you put this lining panel together, you would have had to measure in from the exterior panel and install this here, which obviously is something that I teach you step by step in my next upcoming mini bag club number 3, which is where I will be teaching this zip pocket notebook, okay? So this is an example of a plastic snap that has a little bit of both ways installed. One on the strap itself here installed at the end and the other one in between the layers. Now the magnetic snaps for sure have to be installed in between layers every time because whereas the end cap gives it a smooth finish that you're fine to look at, right, on the pretty side of a project, the magnetic snap, not so much, right? This side looks good, but you couldn't install it through something that would have a raw finish here because you would see this on the exterior. So those are some of the things that you need to keep in mind, like the elements of installing the snaps so that you know how and where you can install them. So let's give you another example of that installed. And this is my Holly Snap wallet. This is another project, the 4th project that I'm teaching in my upcoming Mini Bag Club 3. So it's a little wallet that I turned into a wristlet, really cute. The closure here features a magnetic snap. So I need to pull this apart and you can see I have the male end here, but you don't see it on this side. It has to be installed through the layers so that I could hide that. Otherwise, this would be on the back side, and that's not a good look, okay? Then the other side of the snap, which is the female end here, again, would not be able to be installed at the end because then it would ruin all my little credit card pockets right here, okay? It can't go through those layers. And then I would have had this showing on the inside. Doesn't make much sense, right? So on projects like these, if you're following a pattern or if you're following my video course for this one specifically, I will obviously be walking you through and we'll stop at each of the different steps to tell you, okay, now we're going to move on to install the snap at this step and then we'll move forward with the rest of the construction steps, okay? So that's how that would look, so you still get a nice finish and you can use that interior stuff so that everything looks pretty and you don't ruin any of your pockets. All right, another one, which this is to show you the example of what I mentioned earlier about the washers and being careful not to use the big ones. This is another project that's upcoming in my mini bag club number 3. This is the Flora crossbody bag, and this one features a magnetic snap closure. Again, you already know why we didn't install it through all the layers, right? It needs to be in between the layers because this is the pretty side and the same thing goes for here. We don't want to see that on the inside lining, okay? But imagine if I had used this large washer behind this snap. This is what I mean by you don't want to run the risk of coming back and top stitching and running the risk of hitting this metal washer in between the layers. So here is where I for sure wanted to use the smaller one so that I know that I'd still have this clearance when I came back in and top stitched. I don't want to run the risk of hitting it through the layers here. All right, so that's an instance of that. And then here, obviously, it's further way down, so this would not be a problem to have used a larger washer, especially if that's what I had on hand. Okay, so that's an example of that. And then let me show you another one of the zip pocket notebooks because this one has a contrasting snap, so you can see it a lot better here. Again, this is where you would install a plastic snap and you could do it through all the layers because it works. Now, when it comes to what type of a closure you're installing each of these in, personally, I would say if it's going to be something that's going to get a lot of wear and tear and the way that the rest of the project is constructed, you're sure that it's going to last a good long time, and you don't mind it being a plastic snap like this, I would go with a snap because these are designed for 10,000 uses of a close, open before the plastic starts to wear off, and then it maybe won't hold as much. But I've never run into that issue, and I've been using snaps like this for, 13, 14, 15 years now, okay? So that would work really well. If it's a shinier project and a little bit more high-end, maybe you're using more expensive materials and things, then for sure, like this would not look cute with a plastic snap right here that's going through all the layers. It would work for sure, but since I designed this one to be more of like a night bag with this soft vinyl that I can just throw on with a cute, little black dress, going out to dinner, something for the evening time, unless I use the black snap here, I would prefer to have it be a metal finish. Okay, especially because it also features metal hardware on the side. So those little types of design elements that you can, match up with the supplies that you're using, feel free to do that. But the plastic snaps are a great functional use, and they're super affordable because you get a ton of them. So this is like a basketball coach notebook that I made for my husband to keep his stuff in. So again, the two zippered pockets right here, you can keep all your dry erase markers, if it's a coach and they have dry erase boards and things like that, or team rosters. You can see you can fit paper in here. You can put in notebooks in the side pockets in here and in here. And then you have the two mesh pockets. So it's a cute little notebook, and I can see y'all making these in a ton of different fun fabrics for just about anybody, any age, and for any use, right? Anybody that goes to school or works and needs to take paperwork with them, this would be a great project to tackle. All right, so there you have it. Those are some of the things that I think you should think about when you are deciding whether you're going to install a plastic cam snap or some type of a magnetic snap in your bag making projects. It's important to stop ahead of time and understand where this is going to go, how to align it, and all the other things I talked about in the video there. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you are new to my channel, welcome. So if you're enjoying my teaching style, make sure that you click the subscribe button. And of course, make sure that you add yourself to the email newsletter list. The link is in the description box below so that you will be the first to know when my new mini bag club number 3 is ready and open for signups. That's coming very, very soon. So stay tuned for the next video on that, because in that video, I will be showing you all the projects we'll be making. I'll be pointing out different new sewing skills and elements that I will be teaching you how to make in those different projects. I think this batch has a really good variety of skills, techniques, and different types of applications and things that you'll have to do in order to complete them. So if you're ready for the challenge, if you're maybe a confident beginner and you're ready to take your sewing skills to the next level, I think this club is going to be just perfect for you. So join us, because over the next 6 weeks, that's what we're going to be working on. All right. More information obviously is coming soon. Thanks again for watching this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.